the Saint Thomas Aquinas in his book when he says that faith is reasonable, and he was nearly excommunicated by the Catholic Church. Now there is there's two sections have come up in Islam. One is the forward-looking like myself, and the other is school represented by the unflinching, the late Maulana Maududi, despite the fact that he was against Western influence that regarded nationalism, communism, capitalism, and even fascism as flowing from the decadent West. He went to Boston and for his medical treatment, and of course, everybody knows he died. Now the question that I would like Your Holiness to give us your reading. You know that at present the media, including the press, and although of course they are being helped, Islam is being presented as a fundamentalist, as if it has got nothing to offer to the world as a way of life. So, which of course, in one of your answers you did say that when we were discussing about the book that came, that there are certain political issues that people want to settle and they want to do those things. Now, the modernized Muslims, who have such as take for the Ataturk, was revived by the Orthodox, unflinching Orthodox Muslims. Raza Shah of Pahlavi, he was criticized for adopting an un-Islamic word, Pahlavi. Now, how does Your Holiness, because I'm looking forward with eagerness and interest, read this situation. Now, we all happen to be over here because I've been living here since during the Second World War. I came as a student and stayed on. India and Pakistan became independent while I was still a student.
When did you come over to England?
Well, originally I come from Frontier.
From Frontiers?
Frontier, that's what I said, that I come from traditionally...
Maldan district or thereabout?
Well, I come the other side of the river Indus, but have a connection with that Maldan and so on, and that's how I cultivated my friendship, which turned out to be very fortunate for me.
You may have belonged to a part of Miawali then.
No, not Miawali. No, the other side of the Laura.
That's right, yes.
Yes, that is. We're just about between 30 to 35 miles from what we call
Because Bhakkar is very close to Dera Ismail Khan.
Well,
on the other side of the river.
I know that area, but Dera Ismail Khan is further down.
I fully understand.
Well, now that's the question I would ask His Holiness.
Please sit down, I'll try to answer.
Thank you so much.
I think you have very rightly analyzed your own question as seemingly a statement. But it's not a statement, it's full of so many questions, in fact. You raise the issue of coercion with reference to Maududi. You raise the issue of the importance of forward-lookingness of Islam. And as yet, you also pointed out that certain very difficult obstacles in the way of presenting Islam in its true perspective. Those obstacles, as you studied them, seem to emerge from the Western attitude, particularly that of their media. Is that right?
Yeah, you got right, sir.
Exactly. Now, I should go further than that. In fact, we should start the study of this so-called the relationship between Christianity and Islam through the perspective of their political relationship. It all happened long ago, many centuries before Saladin, that the European world was threatened by two different forces. First, by the Chengiz Khan, Halaku Khan movements, and second from the other frontiers, that is the southern frontier of Spain. And a part of Europe was occupied by the believers in Islam, and so strongly and apparently permanently, almost permanently, because they remained there
900 years.
800 years,
Yes.
but remain in power for more than 500 years. Around 600 years in full power. Then there were the periods of gradual decay and losing this territory and that to the others. But that also, according to one of the questioners, perhaps by you yourself, was the beginning of a new era in the rise of the Western world. So the enemy they were fearing became the source of life for them, because they owe their renaissance to the capture of Spain by the Muslims and the service to sciences, which were particularly carried out in the Spanish Empire of Islam as against the empire which was based in Iraq and Baghdad, etc. It was particularly the science services to science in Spain, which resulted ultimately in the transfer of light and knowledge to Europe, again through persecution, in a strange way. The Spanish Muslims it were not only the Spanish Muslims which were persecuted. Having been almost annihilated from Spain, they were turned back to their original sources. But also there were Jews who were persecuted. And it was the Jews who benefited most from the enlightenment which was brought by Islam. And they occupied the most important positions in the government of Spain, the Moorish as they call it, but the Muslim government of Spain. So when they were persecuted, they were not pushed eastwards, they were pushed westward. They came with the torches they held high of knowledge and expertise they had learned in the Islamic regime of Spain, Moorish regime of Muslims in Spain. They brought those torches, carried it to south of France, forward, then to England, to Germany, elsewhere. And the Jews were the first torchbearers of two deep, not religious, but ethical, the scientific knowledge which led to the new sciences which we find today in Europe.
Quite right.
And they were given birth in that time, which is they refer to as Renaissance. But they stop there, they don't go forward beyond that. So in answer to your question, I had to take you back to those periods so that also I could remind the West that it has not always been only the threat from Islam, but the very supremacy you hold today in the world, you owe to Islamic efforts. And their attitude to knowledge, their attitude to nature and sciences, etc., which have resulted with the grace of Allah in the present state of the Christian advancement in these sciences. But from looking at it from the Christian vantage point, we cannot ignore the fact that there was always a political threat from the south of Europe from Islam. When later on these so-called holy wars referred to as the wars of the crescent and the wars of the cross resulted in a much larger, bigger front of Islamic political power under the Ottoman Empire.